we've had the Ron Paul revolution, we had the Tea Party revolution, and now it's not at all clear to me that liberty is ascending. Donald Trump himself went after Mark Sanford, one of the few federal legislators that I would call a liberty guy. We just lost, who just passed away?
Walter Jones.
Is liberty winning?
Yeah, so I think it's a really good question, and I'll tell you, I had a funny conversation. That's the best way to put it. It's about a year, maybe a year and a half ago now. We're in, 2019? About 2 years. So 2017, I took over the organization in the middle of 2016. And so Young Americans for Liberty had always existed since 2008 under Obama. And it was really easy to kind of figure out, where coalitions were. The Ron Paul, Rand Paul world was building. But all that's over now in terms of, kind of this, hey, it's very easy to see the next step at the federal level. And so we took a step back, and I had some pretty serious conversations with folks where I said, look, we're building chapters on campuses. At what point do we save the republic, right? At what point do we make liberty win? At what point is it like, oh, yeah, here's where we're aiming to go? And so I started to have those conversations. Do we need to educate more? Do we need to deliver better content? Do we need to focus in on certain political offices? Is it about getting a majority in Congress, or do we just need a Liberty Caucus in Congress that's, got 25 members, and that'll be the snowball effect? And so we had some really long conversations about this, kind of talking about not just YAL and what YAL is doing, but understanding kind of the broader liberty movement and where we are. Ron Paul is now retired. Rand Paul is back in the Senate, not running for president, and he's crushing it there. And we've got Thomas and Justin, I would argue, as our two big champions in the House. So I had conversations with everybody, and the more I talked to people, the more it became pretty clear. If we really want to build at the federal level, we're missing something. And that's something that we're missing is we do not have a base across the country of state elected officials. And I'm not going to go into the weeds. I mean, we did impact scores of each of the different offices. We looked at, how you win certain offices and how much money it costs and what type of experience you have to have. But everything pointed us to one place, and that was if we can focus on building a bench of future Ron and Rand Pauls at the state level and mix that with the work that you're doing to build content, the work that all the great organizations are doing to put out policy pieces and content and educate the masses, but you've got to have that base at the state level. We think it does three things if you start to build there. One, we've got a microphone and a platform for our ideas that I think we've been missing at the local level. Two, we can actually pass liberty bills in the state house. You want things to become federal policy. I mean, as much as we believe in states' rights, the federal government still looks to the states to advance ideas and to see what have you tested, what works. So passing liberty bills and, sadly, forcing roll call votes on bad bills. When you got champions in the House, you can have a little more control in getting people on the record.
Almost all the bad ideas that make it to the federal level started at the state level.
I would 100% of them.
That's how they do it, yeah.
And then the third thing being, like I said, a bench, right? If you want to run for federal office or if you want to run for governor, AG, LG in a state, it is it could not be more clear that if you run the numbers, the people that are viable are those that have already been elected. Why? Because they've got a donor base, they've got name ID, and they've got volunteers. And when you have those things, all of a sudden you've got the infrastructure to run. So...
And they've been tested, so you at least have some more assurance that they're not going to say something career-destroyingly stupid.
Yeah, and you've seen some of their votes.
Yeah,
right. So you can have some interest once they get to the federal level, or you can have some reassurance in that hey, they're going to go there and keep their spine.
Right.
And so we've kind of laser focused in on the state level. I believe it is where the movement has the most to gain, and I think it's the easiest place because grassroots voters, when you reach them and it doesn't become a name ID or a money game, when it's actually, hey, let's have conversations, our ideas win.